Why do some homes in West Hartford, Connecticut get 10 offers and others get none? This is a question that has come up a lot and leaves a lot of people very curious or befuddled on the sidelines. But there's actually a few things that, if done right, can really position a seller well for that multiple offer situation. And then there's also a few red flags that if a seller chooses to do some of those items, the listing is probably gonna sit there and get no offers until the low balls start coming when it sits on the market. So this is a video that really will give you a chance as a potential seller, as someone who's even a buyer coming into the market and trying to decide how to position themselves. Can kind of give you some things to look for to know if you're going to be one of those in the multiple offer situation, or if you're going to be one of those that just sit there on the market. So first thing I want to look at here as we get into the video is, of course, price. This is one of the strongest indicators. In West Hartford, the inventory is low. It's been low past 4 or 5 years, and the buyer demand has far outweighed that inventory. That being said, if a homeowner chooses to list a home 10% over value, if you have a $500,000 home, they want to list it at $550,000, and there's no comps there, a lot of buyers won't even look. And one of the main reasons for that is, in this market, when a buyer first sits down with their agent and has their consultation, the agents are sharing these same market statistics. The agents are telling these buyers, if you see a nice home that's new to the market, you have to be prepared to pay asking price or higher to compete, because our average sales price is 103, 104. It's been as high as 108%, over the past couple years. So when a buyer sees a home price 10% higher than the comps and the other homes they're looking at, they're not going to spend their time going to look there, because in their mind they got to pay that or higher. And why would anyone want to do that? Right? So the first step is the price. You have to be in line with the comps for what your house is, for the style of home, for the square footage, the condition. You have to be in line with the comps. If you are, it doesn't have to be perfect, but if you are, then people will at least be curious enough to take that first step and go look. And remember, this is all about competition. You're going to hear me say this a lot in this video. The more people we get in there, the more competition, the greater the chance of multiple offers, which will of course drive the price up. We're not here to convince everybody that your home's for them. Even the hottest properties, properties that have gotten 10, 15, 20 offers, in those situations, there's 40, 50, 60 people that are saying no, right? Everyone's not saying yes. So you have to understand too, as a seller, no matter how well positioned you are, there's going to be people that don't like it and complain about it and say it's not good for whatever reason. And that's part of the process, and understanding that going in, is really helpful as well. So the first thing is price. Second thing, I wrote down presentation. Now, I've done some other videos on presentation. One of the most important things to take away here on presentation is to be realistic. What the buyer sees online is what the house looks like in person. There's there has been in the past some fads on, say, virtual staging. There's some photographers that really edit the heck out of their photos, and then when the buyer gets there, it doesn't look like those over-edited photos, or it doesn't look like the virtually staged property. And then when the buyer gets down there, there's the letdown effect, right? It's like when someone talks up a movie or a restaurant and you go and it's not what you thought it was, right? You don't really go back, or you're let down from the movie. It's the same thing with the home. Even if it's a nice home, if that letdown effect happens and you're not realistic on the presentation, you greatly decrease your chances at multiple offers and really any offers. So again, this is a numbers game. We want to get as many people as possible to really want that property and to make an offer on it, because once you're in that competitive situation and the multiple offers are in, then the buyers really have to kind of come out with their best to win the property if they want it. That's where the emotion comes in, especially when a lot of people have lost home after home for the past months, some people even years. as buyers slowly understand the intensity of the market, they really have to come with a higher offer. And as soon as they understand that reality, they don't put as tight as a ceiling on their offer. So as a seller, really understanding that and learning how to position your property will net you the most money. And as a buyer, understanding which sellers have maybe not followed some of these steps and have overshot on price and has maybe not been clear on presentation. And presentation can go the other way too. You can over show it online and have the letdown effect, or you can have some really bad angles in photos. There's certainly a lot of examples of those where realtors are in there with their phones taking pictures and the angles are terrible, and you have a beautiful property that doesn't show well, and you have people that don't look at it. So if the presentation is off either way and not realistic, that's the type of property that a buyer might be able to get in there and negotiate a little bit on as it's sitting on the market. So third thing I wrote down is the marketing. Obviously, you want a good, comprehensive marketing plan. You don't just want to throw it out there on the internet and cross your fingers. The agents who are having the most success with multiple offers are usually agents with a really strong database, book of business that they've been doing for years they can tap into. They're usually with a really big brand brokerage who has really good depth on their marketing and cover a lot of bases. They're also usually agents who understand how the algorithms on social media work. Again, this is all about attention and getting people to want to see the property. And if you understand how the algorithms work on YouTube and on Instagram and Facebook, etc., you can get eyes on your property that wouldn't have seen it otherwise, that maybe weren't even in the market for a house until you caught their eye with how you positioned it on the algorithms on the internet. So again, doing just one of these things doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get multiple offers, but when you put it all together, this is the difference. These are the homes that are getting those multiple offers consistently. They're following XYZ and they're positioned well. And the ones that are sitting there consistently are following, ABC, and they're the ones that are sitting on the market. So last thing I wrote down, this one's overlooked a lot. And sometimes it's not talked about until it's too late. It's showing availability. If you're a seller and you want multiple offers, you have to let people in your house. You have to confirm show. Those first 3, 4, 5, 6 days on the market are going to be very intense. They're going to be overwhelming as a seller. There is no doubt about it. You're going to get lots of people. If you've done everything we've talked about in this video, you're going to get lots of people coming through the door, want to see it. This can be overwhelming. It's a good problem and it's not guaranteed. If nobody wants to come see your property, you can't get multiple offers. It's not possible. You need multiple people who want to see it. So if nobody's coming, no one wants to see it, yes, your schedule looks great, but you have no chance at the goal, right? So the constant showings, understand it's only going to be for the first few days, right? As the property sits on the market 2-3 weeks, the slowings will absolutely die off. So being available, confirming everything you can early is important, because once you start declining people, sometimes they don't come back. Agents and buyers are busy. They're going to see properties. They have their own lives. Sometimes they'll put it off for a few days. They lose their motivation or momentum. Getting them in goes a long way in helping you get that multiple offer situation. The sellers that have done the first 3 things in this video but are declining a lot of showings, thinking they're going to keep coming, once you're in week 2, it's very hard for a buyer to rationalize paying over asking price, because they know the property's sitting there for a week. They know no one else has. They don't know that you've declined 7 showings in week 1, right? So sit down with your agent and make a good showing plan before it goes live. That way you're not caught off guard and you're not turning people away that could be making the best offer on your home. So hope this helps. If you have any questions about how to position yourself as a buyer or a seller in this market for multiple offers, or to compete with a multi-offer situation or stay away from them as a buyer, my team and I, we're always happy to help. You can call, text, email. We get messages like that all the time from people watching these videos. Hope this helps.